Yo, what is good, all my gamers out there? It's that one and only Expert Beast, that Godsend Killer, and today you guys are watching some Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse, and this is a parallel quest of me and a bunch of AI characters fighting this big beefy gorilla right here, Brawly or Broly. I know some people pronounce it different names, but if you're a DBZ fan, you know who this guy is, and this guy is badass incarnate. This dude's a freaking beast. The Brock Lesnar of DBZ. But anyways, guys, we're here to not talk about Dragon Ball Z. We're here to talk about Star Wars Battlefront 3. And the question is, are you hyped, guys? From what we've seen so far and from what information has been released, are you hyped for Star Wars Battlefront 3? Can you not wait for that game to come out? Or are you on the same boat as me and you want to see more? Now, obviously, with that answer, you can tell that I'm not exactly on the hype train for Star Wars Battlefront 3. Now, I know that may become as a little surprise to you guys because I did do a video a few months back where I was talking about how EA had a good IP on their hands and they don't need to mess this up. And when I say EA, I also mean DICE as well. EA needs to give them enough development time, which they seem to kind of have so far. And DICE needs to just make sure this isn't a Battlefield skin, or Battlefield reskin, I should say. But I will talk about that later. But anyways, I'm not really hyped for Star Wars Battlefront 3, and some of the reasons for that is, for one, the trailer that they shown us. Now, they made it clear that it was game engine footage. Now, pretty much, for what I understand, from what I've heard some commentators saying, they actually seen some actual gameplay, and the game looks as good as the trailer does. Now, I don't know if it's going to stay that way, because obviously you had games like Watch Dogs where they showed off a demo, and the demo looked a lot better than what the actual retail game did. So, that remains to be seen. But that's one of the first problems I had, was the game engine footage. Now, it looked good, don't get me wrong, but the problem is it didn't actually show how the game was going to play. Now, I think that's important because this game is a multiplayer only game. I believe they've actually announced that it won't have a campaign, which to me isn't too big of a deal as long as the multiplayer is engaging. But we don't know how this game is going to play like, so we can only assume one or two things. Either the game is going to play like its predecessors and be the same except just improvements and better graphics or whatnot, or it's going to be a Battlefield reskin. Now, the reason why I say this is because, let's face it, guys, DICE does their first person shooters. They have particular ways when they do their shooters, like with the Medal of Honor series. You can tell that Medal of Honor 2010 felt like a son of Battlefield. You know what I mean? It wasn't exactly a copy and paste, but there were some things about the game where, it felt, you have to admit, it felt very similar to the Battlefield games. And DICE, I just, judging by their previous games, I just get that impression that Battlefield, Star Wars Battlefield, let's say Battlefield, but Battlefront, excuse me, man. There's too many Battlefield, Battlefront titles going on here. Forgive me for mixing them up, but from just their previous titles and stuff, I just get this impression that there's a strong chance that this game could very easily just be a Battlefield Sun or a Battlefield reskin or something. Hopefully it's not, because with Battlefield 4 still being supported, then we have Battlefield Hardline. There's too many down, Battlefield type of game. So hopefully that the game is not a reskin, but I am concerned about that, so I would like to actually see gameplay first before I get on the hype train. Now, as for the information we got, other than no campaign, we did hear that the max player count, I believe, is going to be 40, so it's going to be 20v20. Now, I have kind of mixed feelings about that. At first, when I first heard it, I was like, yeah, this is a good move, because sometimes 64 players can be a little bit too much, especially with some maps. And we thought with Battlefield Hardline they were going to lower the player count, and I think they did, but I think they still allow servers to have 64 players in these smaller maps, so it's still chaotic. So this kind of controls the chaos a little bit, but with previous Star Wars Battlefront games, that they had a lot of vehicles, so there's a strong possibility that maybe a lot of people are going to be in vehicles, so there's only so many people on foot. Maybe DICE has just figured out though, so we just have to see gameplay to see how that's really going to be like. And of course, they announced that the game is going to be 1080p and 60 frames, I believe, for all platforms. Now, don't quote me on that. I just know that's what's going to definitely going to be on PC, obviously, and I believe that's what's going to happen for PS4 and Xbox One as well, because it is a next gen title only. Hopefully, it can be 1080p 60 frames on all platforms. If not, at least it can have 60 frames on the console. I mean, 60 frames on the first-person shooter is really important. So they definitely better target that, at least on all platforms. They can't get 1080p, at least get 60 frames. But anyways, guys, I know there's some more information, but that was just the little stuff that I wanted to talk about and share my thoughts. And I have to say that I'm not really hyped for this game. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that I'm not interested. I'm just not exactly on the hype train. I just have to see actual gameplay to see how this game is coming along, because obviously I like the previous Star Wars Battlefronts, but I am just a little bit concerned to see how this game is going to end up turning out, because the first person shooter scene lately has been a little bit sour. Maybe that's just me being a hard guy to impress. I even admitted that on Twitter, because I'm not even hyped for Black Ops 3, which a lot of people are. But anyways, you guys let me know if you're on the hype train or not, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.